Every year on Thanksgiving, Americans all around the country come together to eat turkey, see family, and watch NFL football. The NFL is a staple of Thanksgiving Day to myself and millions of people everywhere. You watch the Lions lose pretty much every year, and from time to time get to see those games that you don't really think about most of the year, like a random AFC and NFC team matching up, such as the Bills and Lions last year and the Patriots and Vikings, for example. But I was thinking about it, and the question came to my mind: what are the greatest Thanksgiving performances in NFL history? And that is what this video is going to be about. So if this content sounds interesting to you and you want to see more videos like this, or you have seen videos before but you never thought of dropping the sub, definitely do that today. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for weekly NFL content. But without further ado, let's get right onto the video. On November 25th, 1976, O.J. Simpson had one of the greatest performances in NFL history, as he had 273 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and had an incredible 9.4 yards per carry, almost a first down every single time this man touched the ball. The 273 rushing yards was an NFL single game record, and it was broken a year after by Walter Payton. However, it does not take away from the absurdity of this game, as this record was obviously set on Thanksgiving, and we have seen some great performances on Thanksgiving Day, but to break the NFL all-time record on Thanksgiving Day is obviously remarkable for many reasons. And no one even took this second place slot for single game rushing yards away from OJ until the year 2000, when Corey Dillon rushed for 278 yards and 2 touchdowns versus the Denver Broncos. And actually, if you haven't seen it yet, I made a video about O.J. Simpson and his career as a football player, among other things. But go check it out. The link is in the description. And it's a more in-depth video about O.J. Simpson and his football career if you're interested in that. But nowadays, O.J. may be known for all the wrong reasons. On Thanksgiving Day in 1976, however, he had an incredible record-setting game and had arguably the greatest performance on NFL Thanksgiving Thursday of all time. O.J. Simpson obviously is a very controversial figure, but as a running back in the 1970s, he was dominant and one of the greatest of all time. Barry Sanders is one of the greatest running backs the NFL has ever seen, and to me, he is the greatest running back to ever touch a football. I mean, the way Barry Sanders could set up defenders with the greatest juke in football history, and how shifty he was as a runner, combined with the speed and underrated strength and toughness at only 5'8", it's honestly very unlikely that we will ever see another Barry Sanders. And the way the guy moved, it was like he had a crossover like Kyrie Irving or Allen Iverson. If you watch basketball, you know how deadly those two used to be with the ball in their hands. And Barry Sanders could turn water into wine. I mean, the Lions were a terrible team top to bottom for most years, and he was able to lead them to the playoffs, to the NFC Championship game, just off the strength of him being able to break off huge runs. Sometimes he would get those tackles for loss, just trying to do a little bit too much. But the Lions didn't help him much at all without a good passing game. Most teams knew that the Lions were going to run the ball. But on Thanksgiving Day in 1997, Sanders put everything I just mentioned on display and more, as he put up a nasty 167 yards, 3 touchdowns, and put multiple Bears defenders on their backsides. The game was actually very close at halftime, and the Bears even led 20-10 at one point in the second quarter, but the Lions and Sanders were just too much, as they finished the game 41-0 from that point, and finished the second half with a shutout of the Chicago Bears, as the game did not end up being close at all. But even though the 55-20 final score seems insane, the Lions probably would not have even won this game without Sanders. And he gave the Lions what is probably, till this day, their most impressive Thanksgiving Day win. He's without a doubt a legend. And had one of the most entertaining performances on Thanksgiving Day we have ever seen. The Vikings in 1998 have to be one of the greatest teams in NFL history to not win a Super Bowl. I mean, this team was incredible. They shattered almost every offensive record up until that point, and probably would have held most of these records for a while if the greatest show on turf had not come along right after they lost in the NFC Championship game. I mean, the Vikings in 1998 one of the greatest deep ball throwing teams in the history of football. Led by Randall Cunningham, they won 15 games and only lost one game, and probably would have won it all if Morton Anderson did not miss that field goal in the 1990 NFC Championship game to win at the end of regulation. Regardless of the outcome of that season, on Thanksgiving Day in 1998, the man I haven't even mentioned yet, the star at wide receiver and the Hall of Famer, Randy Moss, put up a historic game. As on only 3 catches, Moss put up an incredible 163 yards and 3 touchdowns, running into the end zone every single time he caught the ball. As iconic and memorable this performance is, most people tend to forget that Chris Carter also went off, and he was a beast at the wide receiver too next to Moss. He put up 135 yards and 1 touchdown as well in this game. While Moss obviously was also on the 2007 Patriots, who went 16-0 and undefeated, he did not end up winning a ring, which is crazy because he was on two of the greatest football teams of the last 25 years, and he still retired without a Super Bowl to his name, which at the wide receiver position, you're not a quarterback and you don't get to control everything. Cunningham was great, but you can't control a field goal miss at the end of regulation to send you to the Super Bowl, where they probably would have beat the Broncos. Even though that was a great team, the 98 Vikings were like historic, doing revolutionary things at that point. And obviously 07, the Pats just couldn't get it done. I am a Pats fan, so it sucks, but the 07 Pats did not get it done against Eli, who themselves were on a great run. And he did not end up winning a ring. And while I'm sure he wishes he could have won it all at some point in his career, he will always have legendary performances like this one to look back on. And in my eyes, he's the second greatest wide receiver of all time. Peyton Manning has been at the helm of some of the greatest offenses in the history of the NFL, and the 2004 season was no different for the Indianapolis Colts. Manning threw a then record 49 passing touchdowns, which was obviously broken by Brady in 2007, but it was also broken again by Manning in 2013, and he still holds the single season passing touchdown record till this day with 55. But the game that all but solidified that he would break Marino's 48 single season passing touchdown record from 1984 was on Thanksgiving Day in 2004 versus the Detroit Lions. And while I said Barry Sanders and the Lions had one of the most impressive wins on Thanksgiving Day in 1997 earlier in this video, without a doubt they had one of their most embarrassing Thanksgiving losses in 2004, as Peyton Manning finished the day with 236 passing yards and I repeat, 6 passing touchdowns. I mean, the Lions just got picked apart in an almost disrespectful manner as Manning threw 3 touchdowns in a row to Brandon Stokely. And then he threw 3 in a row right after to Marvin Harrison to close the third quarter out. And then Manning probably also could have broken the single game record for passing touchdowns. But after the score was 41-9 at the end of the third quarter, the Colts and Dungy showed the Lions mercy, with the final score being 41-9. This also all happened on the day that Barry Sanders received his Hall of Fame ring to make things even worse for Detroit. Manning was obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks of his era and in the NFL's history, but you could honestly argue that this was one of the greatest games he ever played. And it's crazy that, we're talking about Barry Sanders earlier in the video and how him and the Lions put up in a crazy, impressive performance, winning by 35, and then just got absolutely blown out on 2004 on the day that he was getting his Hall of Fame ring, which is kind of tragic, but definitely one of the greatest Thanksgiving performances of all time by Peyton Manning. But that's all for this one, guys. I think this was a good one, and I hope you guys also agree with that. And I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. And if you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment, and subscribe. But I'm out of here. Peace. Happy holiday season.